Assalamu alaikum. My name is Savagery. Today the topic that I am going to present is the Lord of Lies novel, and I am going to give a detailed analysis of some particular pages that are from page number 86 to 93. Okay, let's begin with the introduction of the author. William Golding was a British novelist, and he was a Nobel Prize winning author as well. And in his novels, he tried to explore the human psychology and the moral corruption. So the thesis statement of the novel is: man is noble, savage, and human beings are innate cruel. It means that when there is no set of rules and regulation, human beings have the innate capability to turn into a savage personality. So we are going to analyze this particular theme in the whole in the whole set of pages that I'm going to analyze today. First, let's talk about the allegorical characters. The first one is Ralph, who symbolizes order. Jack symbolizes power. He's the one who turns into a ruthless savage at the end of the novel. And Piggy symbolizes intellect. His glasses actually symbolize science. And then Simon symbolizes moral truth, and he's the one who knows that belief is not someone who lives out in the outside world, but it is within us, within our hearts, our souls. So basically Simon is a savior figure. Now I would like to give the background knowledge of the chapter that I am going to have a detailed analysis. And first of all, there is a very important event when the signal fired out. Actually, Jack was responsible for taking care of the signal fire, but what happened when the ship passed by, that signal fire was fired out, so there was no hope. And then there was a hot argument between Jack and Ralph. And then during this conflict, the Piggy starts arguing with the Jack as well. So Jack starts telling Piggy that you are the one who is going to tell me that what I am supposed to do or not. You are the one, because Jack was elder and he was the leader of the hunting group, and he had that particular pride. He was arrogant that he has the power, while the Piggy doesn't have, and he's fat as well. So then what happened? So then Piggy, and then Jack even beat Piggy in a ruthless way as well. Then now we are going to come to the detailed analysis of the page that I'm going to analyze today. So, and the most important event is the feast scene, when once they're done with the arguments, then Jack apologizes publicly. And then everyone was busy in having the meal, but there was nothing left for Piggy. And Piggy becomes anxious. He says that, aren't I having none? Jack says, you didn't hunt. This particular reply of Jack shows that he is the one who is going to give meal to everyone. He is the one who have the power, because he's not considering the hunting as a sense of responsibility, but considering it as a sense of power. So he's trying to exercise the power with this particular ideology within his mind. But later on, when Simon notices that there is nothing for the Piggy, he gave his meat to the Piggy. Later on, Simon gave his meat to the Piggy. He says that he doesn't say anything. Yeah. Then Simon, the way Simon gives his meat to the Piggy, these particular lines are written in such a way in the text. Simon, sitting between the twins and Piggy, wiped his mouth and shot his piece of meat over the rocks to Piggy, who grabbed it. When Jack notices Simon that he is going to give some meat to the Piggy, he immediately, leapt to his feet, slashed off a great hunk of meat, and flung it down at Simon's feet. Eat, damn you! He glared at Simon. Take it, I got you meat. Again, this particular sentence shows that and the particular mindset of Jack, that he has a lust of power and he want to exercise it through this particular ideology, that he is the leader of the hunter, and he is the one who is going to provide meal to the people, and he has the power as well. And later on, Jack don't even want anyone to narrate his story of killing the pig. When Morris asked who was the one who how you killed the pig, then what happened? Jack, recovering, could not bear to have his story told. He broke in eagerly. So Jack cannot tolerate anyone else telling his story. So he vividly describes the whole scenario, the way they killed the pig. We spread round, I crept on hands and knees. The spears fell out because they hadn't barbs on. The pig ran away and made an awful noise. It turned back and ran into the circle, bleeding. So, this reveals delight in brutality. This actually shows the loss of moral restraint in the Jack personality. But later on, what happened once they are done with the meal, they all sit together, and Morris pretends to be pig. The hunters reenact the killing, and they start chanting, "Kill the pig, cut her throat, bash her in." This particular chant is highly symbolic. It actually explains, it acts like a spell because it was gradually corrupting the minds and soul of the kids, the children there. And later on, as we have talked earlier, that draft symbolizes democracy and order. He calls for assembly. So, he declares, "I am calling on assembly. I will blow the couch." We see that in the whole set of, chaos, Ralph was the one who was worried to have discipline, to have some rules and regulation in within these, group of kids. Uh, Now, when we talk about the starting 3 pages or the chapter number 5, there is it is they are full of literary devices, and these literary devices are going to help us to understand the Ralph character in a quite in-depth way. So the first literary device is streams of consciousness, and this is going to help us to understand the thoughts and feelings of Ralph character in a quite understandable way. I There must be no mistake about this assembly. No chasing imaginary. Basically, the Ralph was very much conscious about the chaos going on within these group of kids, and he think that he shouldn't he shouldn't have some imaginative thoughts. He have to plan the whole assembly in a quite rational way. And then Ralph moved impatiently. The trouble was, if you are chief, you had to think, you had to be wise, and then the occasion slipped by so that you had to grab at a decision. This made you think because thought was a valuable thing that got results. Here we can see a huge difference between the Jack and the Ralph character. Jack is the one who follows his instinct, who finds delight in considering hunting as a sense of power, not a sense of responsibility. While on the other hand, Ralph is the one who considers his leadership as a sense of responsibility. He thinks before act. He doesn't follow his instinct. He think that every single thought is valuable, and he needs to be very wise before taking any decision. Then comes imagery. Uh, this, through imagery, the author has tried to explain the whole, the surrounding of the kids in a quite imaginative or vivid way. The tide was coming in, and there was only a narrow strip of firm beach between the water and the white tumbling stuff near the palm terrace. After reading these lines, we can picture an image where there is a tide going on and there's a narrow strip between the water and the palm terrace. And there is another example. The place of assembly in which he stood was roughly a triangle, but irregular and sketchy, like everything they made. This is also quite significant. Why? Because this actually we can actually make a proper image of the place where the assembly was held, and but irregular and sketchy, like everything they made, that actually explains that the place was not just irregular, even though all the kids were also living in chaos without any rules and regulation in a quite uncivilized way. Okay, symbolism. The couch actually symbolizes democracy, order, and authorities through speech. Now let's go for the metaphor. The example is the wind pressed his gray shirt against his chest. This is not just metaphor. It is going to help us understand that there was a huge pressure of leadership on the realm. He was considering it as a sense of responsibility, and he was quite thoughtful about that. Then comes personification. A little wind breath about his face. Here we are wind is going given is given with human-like quality like breathing, and this personification enhances the emotional atmosphere and reflects the Ralph's heightened sensitivity to the surrounding. Now, if we talk about conclusion, so after analyzing these two chapters in a quite detailed way, we understand that how Jack considering his hunting as a sense of power, not a sense of responsibility, but on the other hand, we see Ralph who was considering his leadership as a sense of responsibility. He always think before act, and even though all literary devices like stream of consciousness, symbolism, personification, and metaphor all are gonna help us to understand the character of Ralph in a quite deeper way. So here basically Goldie shows that there's a very thin line between civilization and savagery, and without any rules and regulations, human beings have the innate quality to turn into a savage personality. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.